So the big question is this: how these entrepreneurs who started from scratch and had no idea how to sell or market their products or services online and then later on made over 6 figures, 7 figures or even 8 figures became best in their niches and found their dream customers to sell. My name is RJ Ahmed and find this all out in our Interviews with Entrepreneurs show. I interviewed these entrepreneurs and tried to pick their brain of how they actually did that and how they took their business as well as their life to the next level. This podcast is all about the entrepreneurs who strive so hard to become super awesome in their niches. Welcome to Interviews with Entrepreneurs. Welcome to Interviews with Entrepreneurs show where we interview entrepreneurs who are super awesome in their niches. And guys, like today, I'm super humbled to have this guest today on our show. He's actually considered as one of the number one authority in like engineering profitable customer acquisition campaigns. Todd Brown is the expert other experts go to when they need help with their own business. Isn't it crazy? So Todd has helped out like a lot of students out there engineer more 6 and 7 figure funnels than any other expert online today. That's crazy. So like his list of coaching students out there have like so many like A-level entrepreneurs, which is like amazing to listen and hear about. Not only that, a lot of entrepreneurs out there go to his place particularly to learn his renowned E5 method. We're going to talk about all of those things today, so please welcome Mr. Todd Brown. Hey Todd, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Yeah, I'm excited to be with you, man.
Yeah, truly appreciate it. And so like let us walk through your backstory, like how you got started in the space. I know it's been a long time, probably you've been in the space, so like tell us about a bit of it, like how everything started for you.
Yeah, I'll give you the short version. And so, yeah, I've been doing this now for about 2 decades, so a little bit over 20
Wow.
years. When I was a young man, a young buck like you, I was working in the health club arena. So I was in the United States, in New Jersey, working for a company that owns health clubs. And I was responsible for one of the departments, the personal training department across all these clubs. And so ultimately, I was responsible for generating money. I was responsible for the amount of money every year that this department generated. And so one day I got a direct mail piece, a postcard, an oversized postcard that was selling a marketing and sales system for fitness professionals. It was a few $100. And so I bought it. And, a week later, this gigantic home study kit, tremendous binders. This is some of your people won't even know what I'm about to say here. It had cassette tapes and a hard diskette that went in your computer, like old school, but it was all about direct response marketing. And that was my first introduction to direct response marketing, long form copy, headlines, offers, salesmanship in print, all of that. And so I became enamored. I fell in love with the idea of being able to craft a single marketing or and sales message, and then be able to use that to generate sales every day. And so I took what it is that I was learning, and I started to adapt it for our clubs. And over time, and I'll jump ahead, over time, my department took off. And we were doing,
Wow.
about $3 million a year. My department became the shining star in this company, all because of the internal marketing that I was doing. And then I got bit by the kind of the entrepreneurial bug. I really should say that I wanted to put my new direct response skills to the test, and I wanted to see that if I could duplicate it outside of the fitness arena. And so I took everything that I had done in the health clubs, and by this point I was using the direct response marketing for a year and a half or whatever, and I decided that I was going to share it with massage therapists and help them to grow their practice and acquire clients. And so I put together my version of a home study kit based on kind of the tweaks that I made and the things that I had learned. And then I put up my first campaign online. This is going way back before, way before ClickFunnels. This is actually before video, before you could put video online easily.
Crazy.
And then I started selling this home study, kit to massage therapists. And then eventually I went from massage therapists and I started helping chiropractors, and then a number of different niches after that. And then eventually, about, I would say 6, maybe 7 years ago, I decided to start to help, just general aspiring online entrepreneurs. And I took what it is that I was doing and started sharing it. And the rest is history, man.
Wow, that's amazing out there. The way it actually you briefed, for the last 20 years, where you are at the moment. Honestly, like on our show, we love talking about, like we got some amazing guests out there in the past, like who were being in the space, with the direct response side, and then they saw this phase of like internet marketing particularly. So like, what you see was a massive shift from direct response to the internet marketing as we call today. It's like, what do you see the massive shift happen for the last 2 decades, you could see?
Yeah, well, let's be clear about something. So, right, direct response marketing is a methodology. It's an approach to marketing. It's very different than brand institutional advertising, like what we see from big brands, Home Depot, Coca-Cola. Direct response advertising puts forth a promise. It puts forth an offer. It asks for a response. It is trackable, measurable. All of those things. And so the
Yep.
internet is just a different medium of communication, right? Like we can use direct response on television with short form and long form infomercials. We can use direct response on radio and satellite with, direct response commercials and spots. We can use direct response in direct mail, in print advertising. And of course, we can use direct response on the internet. So the internet is just a new medium for communicating. And so the internet didn't change direct response per se. It just opened up a whole new avenue. Of course, I mean, look, it goes without saying that for many of the young folks who don't, who never used direct mail or print advertising, the ability to start an online business today, or a business that mainly uses the web to communicate, to market, sell, and whatnot, the barrier of entry today is extremely low, thanks to the internet. The ease of putting up web pages, marketing campaigns, funnels, it's never been easier with tools like ClickFunnels and Samcart and all these. There's tons of them today. The beauty of the internet is that it brought a global opportunity. So like for today, it still blows me away that we've got clients and students in something like 72 countries. Right. Well, prior to the internet, we never would have been able to do that nearly as efficiently as we can today. The other thing is that there is obviously with the internet being global, and now with the amount of social media platforms with Facebook and Instagram and things like YouTube and Google, our ability to generate traffic at a volume, like the amount of people that we get exposure to or can get exposure to, is through the roof. And the last thing that I would say that the internet really did for us, which just, it makes the game of direct response marketing so much easier, is that everything is it's so easy to track and quantify. So the beauty of direct response marketing is that it's all trackable. You could know not only where your visitors are coming from and where your leads are coming from and where your sales are coming from, but down to the campaign level, to what post on Facebook, to what video on YouTube. You can know exactly what you're paying to get a visitor, exactly what you're paying to get a lead, exactly what you're paying to get a customer, what that customer is worth, and what that customer goes on to spend with you. And so in direct response, because direct response is all about psychology, communication, and math and arithmetic, it makes getting that arithmetic, that math, and doing that math so much easier. The psychology hasn't changed, The communication hasn't changed, only the location of the communication being online. And the arithmetic hasn't changed, but it's just so much easier today to get the numbers that we need to make scientific, objective decisions.
Wow, wow. That's definitely like a crash course difference between the direct response and the internet marketing happening at the moment. And like one thing that you mentioned about it, that's so true. Like the entry level barrier for people getting into internet marketing became easier. If, for
Yeah.
example, like a guy like me who is living in Pakistan, I started when I was 18. I'm 22, by the way, at the moment. So like a guy who was living in Pakistan in a tier three country out there, who was 18, like had the intention of starting out, so that particular thing, it became easier to get in and like figure all of these things out or try these things out with the internet marketing stuff, as you mentioned, like
Yeah.
definitely.
Did
So
you said you're 22?
yeah, I'm 22 at the moment.
Man, I have a daughter your age.
Wow.
To show
Wow,
you
that's
you're a
amazing.
young, that's awesome. That's exciting, man. Wow. That's amazing, man. Kudos.
Thank you so much. So, like, as you mentioned about the campaign out there, you've helped out, I've been, knowing you from a couple of years, as I mentioned when I started out. So, I've been hearing about you a lot, like from a lot of other people out there that we got on the show. So, like, helped out a lot of A-level entrepreneurs out there during the journey. What was a common pattern they had, particularly, which you helped them out, obviously, with their campaign specific? Like, what is a common pattern that got them success, particularly with those things?
Yeah, so there's a lot, but I'll mention I'll talk about one biggie, and it's really a without getting too far in the weeds. I want to be careful. I want to appreciate where your audience is at on their journey. One of the big differences between what the average online marketer entrepreneur does with their marketing campaigns and what my clients and students do, what we teach them, is most people have confused or really conflated marketing and selling, and they think that marketing and selling are the same activity. But marketing and selling are not the same activity. They have two completely different objectives. They're done in two different environments. Selling is what you do when you are communicating with a prospect that already knows the type of product or service they want. They already know about your product or service, and now they just want you to tell them what makes yours different and better than the others. So you're talking about people that are at the end of the buying cycle. When you're talking about your product, your features, your advantages, your price, your terms, your bonuses, your guarantee, all of those things, that's selling, right?
Yeah.
But marketing is what you do and say and present to prospects to turn their existing desire for a result, for a change, for a transformation, an existing desire for the alleviation of a problem or a pain point or an unfulfilled desire. When you turn that into demand for your product before you ever even talk about your product, that's marketing. When you're talking about the prospect and their needs and their wants, and when you're using education-based content, right, to lead them to want your product before you ever even mention it, that's marketing. I mention that in this context because what a lot of marketers, especially new marketers today, are taught to do is they're really taught to just sell. They're taught to talk about your product, talk about what makes your product great, talk about the benefits of your product, get people emotional about your product, right? Present a great offer, right? And yes, that's effective for a certain segment of the marketplace, but that segment of the marketplace is a small segment already at the
Yeah.
end of the buying cycle. The big opportunity is to understand, and this is what we teach our clients, and this was the big shift, to understand how to present an education-based message to prospects that leads them to want your product before you ever even talk about it. So to put this into kind of visual terms for 1 second, number one, we create marketing campaigns, not sales messages, not sales pitches. We create marketing campaigns. The way to look at this is a marketing campaign consists of two chunks. The first chunk is 75%. 75% of what you say and present and do, 75% of a video sales letter, 75% of a webinar, 75% of a long form sales page, what's called a sales page.
Yeah.
is marketing. It's not about the product. We're not talking about the product. We're educating the prospect really on, I don't want to get too in the weeds here, but on what we call the unique mechanism. The unique mechanism is how the product or service works. It's different than the product, but it's how the product or service works. So we're educating the prospect on a new and different way to get the result they want. We're teaching them why this new and different way is better than every other method, process, system out there. We're educating them. We're teaching them. We're giving them insights, ultimately leading them to want that new and different way, to want that unique mechanism. And then, and only then, are we segueing into the last 25%, which is the offer presentation, where you present your offer. And the offer is how they get the new and different way to get the result that they want. So the big shift, to boil it down, is that I help them to open up the majority of the marketplace, to give them the ability to talk to the majority of prospects in their marketplace and lead them to want their product before they even mention the product. And then when they mention the product, their prospects are already pre-sold. That's the big difference between the average marketer online. The new marketer is just selling. We're marketing, and there's a difference between the two.
Wow, that's so amazing to know about that. As you also mentioned out there, like what a lot of people out there initially go and do is they just go for the low hanging fruit, like what's like available to them, like clothes, and then they're just trying to like sell them, but they don't see the like main view look out there where they have a lot of people out there that could be their potential customers moving on as well. So as you mentioned around all of those things out there, let's talk about sales particularly. A lot of people out there, especially like when they enter in the space, I'm talking about like the newbie people out there, they're super reluctant for sales. When they hear about sales, they're like, oh, this is something hard for us to do. Like, what do you think about of them feeling reluctant, and what do you think about like have them overcome that particular barrier they have in their mind? Because this is something they know they have a product that could be like changing other people's life. They just have that false belief in their mind, like why I'm gonna selling that, I'm not gonna look cool and all of those things out there. So like, what's your thought about that?
Yeah, well, I'm going to answer this question a little bit differently from what you likely was looking for, what you likely expected. But there's a couple things. Number one is this. Let's talk about sales for a second, as in revenue. So not the activity of selling, but first and foremost, a business is based on the ability to generate sales, to generate revenue. If an entrepreneur doesn't possess the ability to generate sales, they will either never get off the ground or they'll eventually go out of business. The ability to generate sales consistently, predictably, reliably is the foundation of a business. It is the bloodline of a business. So
Yeah.
whether you feel good about it or not is really irrelevant. It is the foundation of your success. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that I would say, and then I'm going to give you the answer that I don't think you were expecting. The second thing is that you may never be comfortable doing it, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it, right? Like as an entrepreneur, you don't only do the things that you're comfortable with. You do the things that
Yeah.
need to be done that are in the best interest of your business. And asking
100%.
for the sale, making an offer, which is the way that I like to talk about it, making an offer, giving people the opportunity to invest money with you, to get value from you, has to be done, and has to be done on a regular basis, or there is no business. Without the proposition of an offer and the chance for somebody to invest money with you, you don't have a business, right? If you're just talking to people, communicating with people, educating people, and that's it, and you're not making offers, you don't have a business. You're just educating people. And so you have to recognize that it needs to be done, whether you ever get comfortable with it or not, and recognize that you don't have to be comfortable with it to do it, but you have to do it. The thing that I was going to say is kind of twofold. Is number one, the very first thing that I would say to folks is you have to believe in whatever it is that you are marketing and selling. You have to believe in your core that it is in the best interest of your prospect, that it's good, that it delivers on the promises that you are making, that it's going to give the prospect what they want, that it's going to give them value. You have to start with that belief. If you don't really believe in your product or service, then you shouldn't be selling it, because your fears and your doubts and your questions about the validity of what you're saying and the value of what you're saying are gonna come to the surface. You have to believe in your core that what you are marketing and selling is good, is valuable, is going to help them, right, and is something positive. So that's the first thing. The second thing is this, and this is the part that you likely didn't expect. The single
Yeah.
best thing that you can do to make the offer presentation more comfortable, the selling, right, if you will, and I believe, and it's this, that the better you do the job of marketing, the easier the selling becomes. When you do right, it was Peter Drucker, who's considered the greatest management guru ever in history, said the job of marketing, the objective of marketing, is to make selling superfluous, to make selling unnecessary. What Peter was really saying is the same thing that I said earlier, that the job of marketing is to lead a prospect to want your product, so that you don't have to use hardcore sales tactics. You don't have to use shady, manipulative tactics. You can simply present your great, offer to people, and they will jump at it. So the way to get comfortable selling or presenting your offer is to do a better job of marketing, so that you don't have to twist anybody's arm, so that when it comes time for you to present your offer, they're pre-sold. They are pre-sold and ready to buy. Now they want to know, how do I get it? How do I get it? How do I get it? What do I get? What's it gonna, right? What's it gonna cost me? That's how you get more comfortable with selling. And that's why when new folks don't learn a marketing system like E5, or when they really don't learn how to effectively market and design an effective marketing message, they end up just selling online. And that's uncomfortable, because you're now, right, you didn't build any value, you didn't frame what this can do for somebody, you didn't demonstrate and explain what makes it different, what makes it better than every other option, right? Why they should want it. You didn't do any of that, right? When you jump right into the sale, you have to understand that when you start talking about your product or service right out of the gate, your prospect's sales resistance goes up. Their filter goes
Yeah.
up, their resistance goes up. They're immediately like, I know this person is trying to sell me something, so that everything that comes out of this person's mouth is going to be positive about their product or service, because they're trying to sell me something. That's what happens when you jump right into the selling and you don't start with marketing. When you start with marketing and you're educating them, their sales resistance is down, their sales filter is down. They're learning, they're having ahas, so that you come across as an expert, as an authority, as an advocate for them. But all along, you're leading them to want your mechanism, the mechanism that powers your product. And the only place that they can get it is in your offer. So when you present your offer after you do effective marketing, you'll have prospects that thank you for making the offer, rather than resisting and pushing back. And so that's my recommendation.
That's definitely a mic drop out there. And guys, like newbies, I would definitely going to recommend you watch this again, because this is something out there that a lot of people actually resist. They just don't understand like how they can go in and overcome all of those barriers, or even like mentally how those things initially work out. Because if you just don't figure out everything, you find difficult, because you're not getting the solution to it at the end of the day. So I would definitely recommend you guys to watch this again and understand this particular concept, like as Todd mentioned about. So like you mentioned about like E5 method out there. Could you like walk through us like what that is, like in just brief?
Yeah. So before I do that, let me give one other recommendation, one other piece of value for folks.
Sure.
Another thing that a big mistake that new marketers, newbies, make is they typically start with a product idea. They come up with a product idea, like I want to sell a product on XYZ, or a product that does elemental P. They start with the product, and then they think about how they're going to try to sell that product to the marketplace. But the savvy entrepreneurs and the savvy marketers start with the market. They become students of markets. and meaning that they look for markets that have a problem that they can solve, a problem that the market already knows they have and wants to solve. And then they figure out how they can solve that problem for the market with something different and better than the other options that are out there. And that's critical. It might seem like business theory or philosophy, but it really is at the root of the most effective marketers and online entrepreneurs today, because you have to realize this. Your folks need to understand, especially the new folks, that listen, people buy products and services not for the product and service or service itself, but for what the product will do for them. Specifically, what people buy products and services for are to alleviate a problem. Now, problems can fall under two different categories. A problem can certainly be a pain point, a disappointment, a discomfort. I'm in debt. I don't know how to get out. I have knee pain. I don't know what's wrong, right? I can't lose weight, right? Those things. But a problem can also be an unfulfilled desire or need. So if I want to grow a green, lush lawn and I don't know how to do anything to grow that green, lush lawn, I might not be in pain or have discomfort, but that's an unfulfilled desire, right? I'm sharing that because you have to recognize that your job is to sell a solution. The product is just a vehicle to solve, right, to provide the solution, but you're selling solutions to a problem. And so the thing that you have to start with, don't think about when you're just starting out, what could I sell and sell, right? What do I think I could sell? What is a product that I can sell? Instead, identify the problem, identify markets with problems that you can solve with a different and better way. And focus on what's the problem, what's the problem causing for them, what are the symptoms that they're dealing with, right? What would life be like for them if they didn't have that problem? What does it look like when that problem is resolved? And that's what you build products and offers around. People buy products and services to solve problems. They buy products and services for the solution, for the transformation, for the result, for the outcome, not the product or service itself. Nobody buys an information course, a bunch of videos and PDFs because they want a bunch of videos and PDFs. They want the result of what they believe they're going to get from those videos and PDFs. Nobody subscribes to a newsletter because they're excited about having 8 pages of text show up in their mailbox. They want what they believe that newsletter is going to do for them, give them, what pain it's going to alleviate. You have to identify that. You have to know that it's a problem that the marketplace has, that they know they have, and they desperately want to get out of. And when you can come along and you have a different and better way to solve that, it makes everything infinitely easier. So it always has to start with, so many new marketers are looking for the whiz bang tactic, like the one thing to put on their order form or the one thing to do on their lead capture page or something like that. And they're missing the underlying foundation, which is knowing that they're talking to people with a problem that they can solve with something different and better than the other options. That has to be the foundation of everything that your folks do. So with that, you asked about E5. I'll give you the 30-second answer so that this doesn't turn into a commercial. E5 is really a system, a process for engineering a customer generating marketing message that folks can use with all different sources of traffic. So for the folks that want to be able to generate sales predictably, consistently, every day from YouTube, from Facebook, from Instagram, from ads online, and do it profitably, the E5 method is a method that they should be using. It's that it works with the marketing and offer presentation. It shows folks how to identify the mechanism, how to talk about the mechanism, what to say, what not to say, the order in which to say it, how to construct the offer, how to put it up online, and how to start generating sales from virtually any source of traffic. So it's a complete system, and it's really my life's work in direct response. So I took I created it 5 years ago. It's got a 5-year plus track record. So all of those big name marketing experts, entrepreneurs that you see that were my clients, they all went through and learned the E5 method. It took about 15. I took my 15 years of experience 5+ years ago, and I took it and I developed this system, which is my life's work. And now folks are using it, like I said, in 72 countries, in almost every marketplace that you can imagine, to generate predictable, consistent, new client, new customer sales every day from multiple sources of traffic.
Wow, that's so amazing to hear about that. Like that's so amazing. I don't want to take like a lot of your time out there because I see like it is over 30 minutes. The last thing I want to ask is, for the last 20 years that you've been in the space and in general, what was your particular biggest achievement that you think you had?
Wow. My biggest achievement, that's a toughie. I think I would say that my biggest achievement, that's a toughie. So I'm gonna stay away from the financial stuff because I hate talking about that stuff. And I'm gonna say that probably the thing that there are two things that I'm going to say. One, it's the greatest honor for me to have the top entrepreneurs and marketers online come to me when they need help with their campaigns, or when they when Jay Abraham wanted his son trained, he came to me. When, like, all these people, like, that is a
Yeah.
tremendous honor and a tremendous blessing for me. And it still freaks me out to this day, because I remember just getting started, 20 some odd years ago. So that is something that I'm extremely proud of. I think for me, the greatest accomplishment is seeing, we get testimonials and case studies almost every day, and have for years. We have a repository of these stories of the lives that have been impacted, people being able to leave full-time jobs, people being able to move into new homes, all because of the businesses that they have that are now powered by E5 marketing, better marketing. That to me is why I do what it is that I do. And so I'm probably most proud of the impact that I've been able to have. A dude from New Jersey who was a terrible student, who barely read a book from cover to cover until he was like 22, your age. I didn't read a book cover to cover until I was about your age. To be able
Wow.
to see the impact makes me realize today that anybody can have an impact. They just have to be willing to move forward. They have to be willing to take action in spite of their fears. It's not all that difficult. You don't have to be brilliant by any stretch of the imagination, but you do have to keep putting one foot in front of the other, keep moving forward. You have to take action in spite of your emotions, in spite of your fears. And if you do, you can achieve tremendous things.
Wow, that's amazing, 100%. Well, Todd, thank you so much for being on the show today. Like, where people can be the part of your world, where can people be the part of your world initially?
Yeah, so folks can go over to, I believe it is E5 Bundle. So the letter E, the number 5 bundle, BUNDLE.com. I believe for a few dollars they can get my book on the bookshelf and a whole bunch of videos. They can follow me on Instagram at Todd Brown, TODDBROWN. Those are two of the best spots.
Awesome. So, guys, like, we're definitely going to post up the links in the comment section down below and in the show notes. Well, Todd, thank you so much for being on the show today. It was absolutely amazing to have you on the show.
My pleasure, man. You're an inspiration, man. 22 years old, rocking and rolling, doing interviews. Like, kudos, man. Keep it up. I expect big things from you, man, in the future.
Thank you so much. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching the show today. We're definitely going to see you guys in the next episode. Until